So I'm excited to dive into one of my favorite books. I don't know if you guys have read has anybody read The Seven Levels of Communication by Michael Mayer? No one's read it. Well, after this, you're gonna go to Amazon and you're gonna buy it. It's like $15 or something. It's a great book because it really does dive into the different marketing, communication, different communication styles. But the thing is if you start reading the book, it's kind of built in as a story. So you got it. It's like one of those shows where you got to get through the first episode and then you like get into it, you get into the meat and potatoes. Don't give up after the first couple of chapters. Keep going. Trust me, there's gold in there. So I wanted to kind of break down his methodology in terms of communication, his process, and really just an overview of what it is in the book that is just been so much gold, at least for me. And I'll tell you guys a little bit of a story as we dive in. But so I got into real estate back in 2016, and like everybody else, you're trying to find your way, right? We wear so many different hats. How do we get started? What does my marketing look like? How do I need to start prospecting? What are going to be my different pillars for lead generation? Am I going to be referral based? Am I going to try to go and do some fancy advertising and do internet leads or some billboards and all that kind of stuff? So as I was going through, newly licensed, trying to figure all that out, I had met a couple at an open house and ended up trying to, had a good conversation. And of course, they left the open house, and I wanted to try to do something different, right? That I just wasn't quote unquote already doing in my marketing. And being I'll say I'm a millennial, but I'm a working millennial. I know we have a lot of bad reps sometimes, but so I was very forward thinking in terms of technology and um, the digital aspect of it, all that kind of stuff. But I wanted to be different, and something that I had attended before or I saw was getting, back into like handwritten notes. And you some may think that's old school thinking, but it's really personalized and it can make a difference. So this story kind of stuck with me, and they left the open house, and I ended up writing them a handwritten note, and just I didn't really say anything about like thanks for your time. I mainly wrote about how much I enjoyed meeting them and why I thought that I could help them, how I was different, and shared, my background and a little bit of story of getting in the business and all that kind of stuff. So put a stamp on it, threw it in the mail, and didn't really think about it. And let's say 5 days later, it was probably a couple days later because it wasn't too far where I dropped it off. But within the next week, the wife ended up calling me and said that we got your note. We're really touched by it. It was different. We didn't really, we haven't gotten a note like that from anyone in quite some time, and it kind of stood out. So we've talked to a lot of other agents, but we want to take a shot with you and go with you. So it's that one thing that was different. It was personalized. It was handwritten, that kind of stuck out to them and was different. So as you go through, right, we're gearing towards Q4 when we really start business planning and deciding what our 2025 looks like, what our pillars are going to be for lead gen and sources to get new clients, budgeting, all that kind of stuff. I want you guys to kind of think about that after this class and decide where you want to focus your time, energy, and money into your business for next year. Okay. Hopefully we're going in the right direction. Rates are going in the right direction. I feel like 2025, 2020, next couple of years are going to be a little bit busier, hopefully a lot more busier. But where are you going to, spend your time, and how are you going to communicate that? Right. So we're going to go through and kind of break down all these different, um, the seven, right? The seven levels of communication. So why is communication important in real estate? Well, of course, it's important because we're a relationship business, right? We are based on relationships. A lot of service industries are like that, but real estate absolutely based on relationship. Think about, how many referrals are you getting referrals in other markets? How many referrals are your clients sending to you? The other thing is, how often are you communicating to your past clients in Sphere so that you can help them promote you more, right? So you can increase those referrals. But real estate business is not just about transactions. It's truly about trust, referrals, and those long-term relationships. And the 7 levels communication kind of sets the stage for us in that. Now, as I go through these, we're going to talk about things like direct mail and advertising. And I'm not saying those don't work, because they do. People spend a lot of money every single year on these things, and there is conversion there. But where should you best spend your time? Where should you best allocate your budgeting expenses so that you can, again, better build those relationships and be able to build trust and connect better? Again, like social media and all that stuff, it's very good. I'm not saying it doesn't work. It absolutely does. But where should you start so that you have that solid foundation, increase your referrals, and then, of course, you can add in those other lead pillars into your business as well. So quick question for everyone on the call, throw it in the chat box. How many of you feel like you could communicate better with your clients, partners, and prospects? It's a loaded question because it's all of us, essentially. But do you feel like you could have better communication in your business and different communication channels that may be able to connect with your prospects and clients better, building that deeper relationship? So what is the 7 levels communication? Well, it's a systematic approach to building meaningful relationships and creating a referral-based business. Again, as we dive through these, you may connect with some better than others, but as we go down this quote unquote pyramid of the 7 levels of communication, you're going to see that it goes from impersonal to more personal, right? Deeper stage. And we're going to focus on connecting authentically to create a flow of business opportunities. All right. And why does it matter to you? Well, because again, success in this business is built on relationships. And it doesn't matter where you're at. Let's say you're going to a networking event in a different state, right? Are you communicating and connecting and networking with those agents there so that you can increase your referral business from them? What are you doing differently that will show those agents that you're different as well? And that the way that you're communicating to them is beneficial to the age or to the clients that they're going to be referring to you. It kind of gives them an insight on your communication method and how you work as a person and your business. So here's the pyramid. So of course, at the top, we've got the one-on-one meetings, events and seminars, phone calls, handwritten notes, electronic communication, direct mail, and advertising. So essentially, number 7 is going to be the least personal, right? And it just kind of goes up from there. Going all the way to one-on-one meetings, of course, are the more personal. As you know, if you've ever worked in internet lead, it's very tough for you to connect with somebody that you've never talked to or met before over the phone. So it makes it a little bit more difficult. You got to try to connect with them quicker, and you got to be able to build that trust where they do end up wanting that one-on-one meeting, or they do end up meeting you in person. Same with direct mail, electronic communication, right? As you kind of go through those. So we're going to dive through. We're actually going to go through these backwards. We're going to start with advertising and then work our way through the most personal one, which is the one-on-one meetings. So the first one's advertising. This is the least personal form of communication. It includes things like billboards, radio, TV, newspaper ads, even digital advertising like social media and Google Ads. And while you can reach a broad audience with this, it's a one-way communication channel, right? So if you've ever been on a freeway and seen billboards, what's the most common billboard that we typically see? Advertising. Attorneys, right? It clearly works for them, but it's a one-way channel of communication. You can't communicate back to, of course, the billboard. So it's very impersonal in that sense. It doesn't foster that personal connection. It's designed to build brand awareness. So advertising is can be thought of as building your brand awareness. These can be included like social media ads, Google ads, ads in newspapers or magazines or anything like that. Of course, you're building your brand awareness, but the communication is impersonal because it's one way. So you can't really dive deeper. It's really truly to just expand your brand awareness in that sense. So, who on the call has done some type of advertising, whether it's online ads, social media ads, or maybe you did do a billboard? Man, I see them popping up uh, in here in the Phoenix area on the freeways of different real estate agents advertising certain things. But my question to you guys on the call is, who has closed a deal purely from an online ad or an internet lead? Throw it in the chat box. There's got to be at least one on the call. Who has closed a deal purely from an online ad or internet lead? Or maybe it's no one on the call. PJ has, Elizabeth has, Leslie. Perfect. Right? So some of you have closed these leads. There's cost that goes into them, but understand that the communication style through advertising is very limited and it's impersonal, right? You're not having that two-way communication. You can't make it have a personal touch or anything like that. So that's why this is categorized as number 7, technically, for the communication levels. The next one would be direct mail. So I'm sure we've all sent some type of postcard or some type of direct mail through that. But this is going to be a step up from advertising. Direct mail involves sending personalized letters. So maybe it could be a personalized letter specifically. Maybe it's a buyer letter. I'm not sure if any of you have ever sent those out. You have a specific buyer that's looking for a property. You're sending out to a neighborhood or subdivision. It can be a little bit more personal because you're telling a little bit of a story in there, or maybe it's marketing yourself and you're sharing a story or something like that. So it could be personalized letters, postcards, of course, any type of promotional material to a targeted audience. And while it may be more specific than advertising, right? You could be about a specific home. Maybe it's a one-page CMA that's being sent out. So it could be a little bit more personal. It is a step up from that advertising. Direct mail can even include things like newsletters, brochures, postcards. It can offer a more personalized touch, but it still lacks that interactivity of higher level communication. So it's still technically a one-way communication channel. You can tailor it a little bit. You can make it a little bit more personalized. And what I do encourage you guys to do is that if you are going to be sending direct mail, maybe, I don't know if you guys have heard of QR codes, but maybe you're adding a QR code to that marketing piece that's linking to a video that's more personable. So, I've had agents that they focus on targeting FSBOs or expireds. And within that letter, that 8.5 by 11 letter that they're sending out, there's a big photo of a video with a little play button on it. And below that's a QR code to scan to watch the video so they can learn more about the benefits of working with an agent if it's a for sale by owner, or maybe if it's going to be for an expired that you guys are targeting. Maybe it's QR code and the video is explaining possibilities of why that listing may have not sold and what you do differently in terms of marketing and some other things. If they wanted to relist, right? You can explain that better. But video is another way that you can take direct mail or this more one channel way of communication, adding a video into it, and they can start to build trust with you, start to build that relationship because they're actually hearing, seeing you, your body language, all those different things they can actually see, kind of, again, posture, the way you communicate, all that good stuff. So you absolutely can make direct mail a little bit more personalized. So my question to you guys is, how many of you send postcards to your neighborhood, and how many calls have you gotten from those postcards? Right? We send them, whether it's a coming soon or just listed or just sold, or maybe it's a postcard that has a QR code to it to get a property valuation. But how many of you have closed a deal directly from some type of direct mail marketing? Elizabeth has not. Thank you for your honesty. Zip, right? Jenner said, I've sent several hundred, pushing 1,000 golden letters and postcards with QR codes, but they have never received communication back from any of them, right? So again, this could be similar to advertising. You're building your brand awareness. Paul said he has. Awesome. I have as well. Very few, right? Very, very few in terms, you've really got to, but here's the other thing, you got to be consistent with it as well. But the biggest thing to take away is how can you make that direct mail more personable, right? How can you add in certain verbiage or things like a video QR code or something like that to make it more personalized so that, again, your goal is to build that trust with that consumer or potential client, and create a conversation, giving them a reason to pick up the phone and actually call you or reach out. And that's very tough to do in these impersonal communication methods. All right, next one is electronic communication. So this can include things like emails, text messages, even social media messaging. It's a two-way communication channel, but it still doesn't provide the depth of personal interaction that face-to-face communication does. And although electronic communication is more efficient and allows for personalized content, it can be easy to ignore or misinterpret. So yesterday, I was having a conversation with somebody and we were talking about text messages and how that's kind of the new email. Because how much spam, remember the days where like we couldn't be spammed on phones, on our cell phones, with calls, but that's obviously gone away because we get sales calls all the time. And then also, how many text messages do you get on a daily basis, especially in this industry, about somebody that's looking for an off-market property or just some advertisement for some type of tool or something within the industry? And so, text messages are starting to become what I call bulk marketing because it's just being sent out to a bunch of people. You don't want it to sound addy, right? Advertising. You don't want it to sound salesy or anything like that. So be conscious of when you're sending mass texts out or even to your sphere and past clients, if you receive that on the other end, what would you think of it? Is it personalized? And again, going back to video, this can really help make it a lot more personable. Jeff, I know you use BombBomb quite a bit, and I love BombBomb as a platform. It's a really cool video marketing tool, inexpensive that you can use, but BombBomb can help, if you're sending a mass text out or something like that, can help personalize it and just make it a little bit more authentic because now it's a live video that they can watch and understand how you work and communicate. The other thing is as we know, in emails and text messages, communication can be construed or can be perceived in very different ways. It can be very subjective. So if I send an email to someone or a text message, could that person take that in a different way? Could they take, quote unquote, the tone in their mind in a different way? And it can kind of, make it that impersonal, just like an email. We've all received an email where we read it and we're like, wow, that sounds a little harsh, or maybe the tone's a little different or whatever it is. And same things for text messages for that. So again, electronic communication, you want to make sure that in those emails and texts or even the social media messaging that you're putting out there, stop and think before you post it or send it. Does this provide value? Does this provide communication in a way that can be construed as personalized? And does it have an even tone? And maybe I'm going to send a video text instead of a static text or even an image, just like CMAs. Like if you're going to send a text CMA or you're going to send a text message about CMAs, maybe it's a video with you talking about the CMA or the process, or if they want an updated CMA for their property or whatever it may be. Because again, you can read someone's tone, posture, and just their communication style can be read through a little bit better when it's through an actual video compared to just static. So, some tips, like I already talked about, was, take a look at the last text or email that you sent to your client. Was it transactional or did it nurture the relationship? What was that conversation like? Did you send to your past clients? When's the last time that you communicated to your past clients? That's a question I want to ask everybody on the call. When is the last, who has sent communication to their past clients or sphere in Q3? Who has already sent that out? And I'm not talking about your mass communication, right? Everyone gets your newsletter. That's a safety net. Everyone gets your newsletter. But when's the last time that you called your past clients or sent them a text message or something that was personalized just for them, right? Again, communication is going to help us build those relationships and a deeper relationship, stronger, that will then help us get those increased referrals. Jenner said she sent some, not everyone though. Paul sends a home anniversary letter every year. I love that. I would almost encourage you to communicate to your past clients once a quarter. Once a quarter. Could be maybe a couple times a year, but I love it. Home anniversary, right? If you can save that data, home anniversaries are amazing. Maybe you're friending your clients on Facebook. The beauty of Facebook is it will tell you whose birthday it is, whose birthday is coming up. Or maybe in your CRM, you're putting in that data. You know the month and day of their birthday, so then you're sending them a happy birthday, or maybe they're getting a card or something like that, right? But that communication is important for those past clients. We have to do a better job at communicating to our past clients and our sphere more often, but with valuable stuff. So we're going to talk about that when we get to phone calls here as well. All right, next one is handwritten notes, which I told my story about those. Who in here sends handwritten notes? Whether it's past clients or somebody you just met at an open house or you're prospecting, but who in here takes the time to send those handwritten notes? Not regularly, right? It's kind of something that we have to build into our process. That's why as we go through this, you guys are going to take notes and write down, like, I want to increase the amount of phone calls I'm making, or handwritten notes, right? You're going towards the more personal levels of communication. Maybe in 2025, maybe you're going to ramp up how many handwritten notes you're going to send out. Maybe everyone that you meet in an open house, maybe it's a neighbor, or maybe once a quarter, your past clients or your sphere is going to get a handwritten note. Maybe it's twice a year. Hey, the holidays are coming up. This is great timing to start putting in some handwritten notes to your past clients. Obviously, if you have a lot of past clients, it could take some time, but you got to time block it. Or maybe you're going to use some platforms like Send Out Cards. It's not necessarily going to be physically a handwritten note, but you can word it in a way that's very personalized for those clients or past clients or sphere they're actually sending those to. But handwritten notes are personal touch. They show thoughtfulness and care, right? How do you feel when you get a handwritten note? How do you feel? It's rare nowadays, right? We don't get them very often. But I do know, like, when I get one, it's a good feeling. It's like, wow, this person took time out of their day. It doesn't take a whole lot of time, especially if you go in and maybe you're getting some personalized note cards that are blank. Maybe it has your branding or something on it. You have a stack of them ready to go on your desk next to that pen, and it's out in the open, and maybe instead of sending a traditional piece of marketing or something, you're going to do a handwritten note. So you got to just incorporate it into your process. And I want you guys to think about that as you're getting ready for 2025. What types of communication are you going to incorporate into your business next year? Again, the handwritten notes, they are going to make the recipient feel more valued, and it's going to strengthen that relationship in ways that electronic messages or direct mail cannot, right? It's so funny because handwritten notes, if you're going to send it through the mail, it's still technically, right, could be direct mail. It's just more personalized. You're taking the time to leave it in there. Handwritten notes take the time, right? That's the biggest drawback, I think, that us as agents have, is the time that it may take. But again, if you have the process set up and you have them ready to go, you don't even have to think about it. You flip the card over and you start writing. And here's the thing. Handwritten notes are rare in a digital age. Okay, just like I said, they're rare. We don't get them very often at all. So that's one way that you can stand out, is doing that handwritten note. The other thing, going back to direct mail, something that I have done that I saw better conversion and it's a little bit more personalized is I think Jenna was getting at this too, is having different colored envelopes so they kind of stand out. Maybe you're handwriting those addresses so they're not, the white label that you're printing from, the Avery templates, and you're actually putting a stamp on it. Those are things that kind of make it look a little bit more not automated in that sense. So again, handwritten notes are very rare in a digital age. So if there's something that you want to stand out, even back in 2016 or 17, when I sent that handwritten note, it was rare then. It's just hasn't been a big communication method, but it's huge because it is personalized and it definitely makes you stand out in that. So again, ask yourself, when's the last time that you sent all your past clients a handwritten note, thanking them, hoping they had an amazing year? Like I said earlier, we're getting towards the end of the year, so the holiday season, all that good stuff. Maybe you get it out now before it gets a little too crazy. And as we know, our mailboxes fill up with a bunch of stuff. So, and how about after a closing? Does your client get a handwritten note on, it's part of your process. 30 days after my client closes, maybe I'm going to send them a handwritten note saying, hey, I hope the first month or first 30 days in your new home has been amazing. I just want to check in with you. I was thinking about you. Please let me know if there's anything I can do or that you need help with. But again, I just want to wish you and the family or you, that your first 30 days was amazing and many, many more years and memories to be put into that home. So think about where you in the process that you want to add in these handwritten notes and just incorporate it into your business. And once it's in the process and you start doing them, it gets a lot easier for you to be able to do those. Love that, Jeff. Jeff said, what about, not just your clients, but what about the co-operating or co-brokering agent, right? On the other side, your lender. Hey, great. It was a great transaction, right? It's always important to build relationships with your partners because who knows, you may all of a sudden start getting lender referrals in terms of clients. Hey, I know that I have this client that needs an agent and you sent me a personalized card and we've kind of been building this relationship. So I want to get back to you and work this deal together. Escrow, right? Get a send out card. And just like Jeff said, they do the brownies. They're actually really good. But after every close of escrow. So it's not just your clients that, these communication methods could work or these handwritten notes could work for. Think of all your industry partners and referral partners as well, and let them know, hey, thanks so much for another great transaction. Looking forward to the next one. It builds that relationship deeper. And here's the thing, and I've heard these stories several times. When you build a strong relationship with your escrow officer or your lender, and something comes up and you have to call them at 7 o'clock at night, they're probably going to answer for you if you built a strong relationship. They understand how you work and they're like, you know what? It's after hours, but they're probably only calling me because it's an emergency, something I need to know, and something that you can, add into that. Again, it just builds that relationship at a deeper level.
Hey, Justin.
Yes.
One of the things I have found by sending to the escrow officers is the escrow manager often calls me and thanks me because their teams never get recognition.
Yep.
And everyone just assumes they're going to do their job. So I found that has, like you said, it really helps when you need something in the future.
Yes.
And even if the lender wasn't my lender, let's say I had the seller, I still send the lender a thank you note as long as the deal went fine.
Right. Yeah. If it's a great transaction, everything, and just like Jeff said, I obviously I work for a title company, so I might be a little biased, but let's let the industry partners know, hey, this was a great transaction. Thank you so much. Because like Jeff said, we all have a job to do. Yes, we're supposed to do that, but it's always nice to get recognized or just get called out for an amazing transaction or just being a great partner. And happy to work the next deal together. And yeah, if you need something in the future, they're more than likely, if you have taken the time to build those relationships, more than likely they're going to help you out if you're in a pinch or something comes up or whatever it may be. And I love the idea of the send out cards for the lenders, even if it wasn't your lender. Let them know, get on their radar, right? Get on their radar, and you never know when something may come up where you have to reach out to them and get a second opinion or whatever it may be. And, it's a win-win. So handwritten notes, we spent a lot of time on this one, but I truly think that this is a game changer, especially in a digital world. We definitely should try to incorporate more of this into our business. And if you start with a platform like Send Out Cards, just to save time, maybe in that message that you're typing in to be printed, it says something like, it's personalized to that transaction. So maybe you're calling something out where maybe you thought the deal was not going to go through or something, but the escrow officer or the lender or the agent on the other side, whoever it may be, really pulled through and helped you with that. So again, handwritten notes, they go a long, long way. All right, next one, phone calls. This is also personal. I'm a little bit more personalized, but phone calls allow for real-time, two-way communication. They are more personal than the previous levels and allow for immediate feedback and interaction. And here's the thing, hearing the voice of the other person helps in building that rapport. Like we were talking about, sometimes it's hard to hear tone, the influx of your voice, and the emotion, and it really does help foster those deeper connections. So phone calls are effective for checking in with those clients, and offering personal assistance and maintaining relationships in this. So my question to you guys again is, who has called their past clients in the last quarter, or maybe even, let's say, this year, right? In 2024, have you taken the time to call your past clients and just touch base, check in, right? One thing that I always get with the phone calls from agents is, what do I talk about? And I get it can be very awkward. How do I start the conversation? Because we just all slip into the real estate thing, right? We all slip into the sales, and immediately go into market and all that kind of stuff. Here's the thing, guys. They know you're in real estate. They're gonna ask you, so how's the market doing? Oh yeah, rates, or it's gonna come up naturally in the conversation. But be intentional. What is the purpose behind that call? Truly to build that relationship on a deeper level. So what if it takes 15 minutes out of your day during this phone call? Again, you're building that relationship so that you can get more referrals from these people. And I would even go back to, we just talked about vendor partners in the previous slide, but even maybe you're calling your escrow officer or the lender or home warranty or whoever it may be, and you're having a quick conversation with them to build that relationship deeper as well. Of course, just like it says here, right? Phone calls allow for a personal real-time connection where your tone and emotion can come through. Picking up that phone call instead of maybe sending that text. Maybe you're having a difficult conversation, or maybe it's a topic or something that the tone may not be revealed correctly in a text message or an email. Could that quick phone call, make the difference in closing a deal and losing it with a client? Maybe you're in a transaction with a client. Again, we will always want to meet our clients where their preferred communication method is. But I'll tell you this, a lot of people would rather get a phone call if there's an issue, or explaining the process, educating me on something, as opposed to getting it through a text message or an email. So my tip is always leveraging that Ford method. You can always start with family. How's the family doing? How's work going? How's the occupation? I know when you moved in, you had we're gonna start your own business, or you switched jobs, or you got a promotion. How's the job been going? Anything planned? We have winter coming up and the holidays. Hey, any plans for the holidays? You guys, family going out of town? Anything like that? And then, of course, dreams and aspirations. So if you need some type of method, or you need a few bullet points to get you going to start that conversation from a phone call, just pick out a few things like that that's not directly related to real estate necessarily, or salesy, or anything like that. Jeff, I saw you unmuted. Do you want to add in?
So I was just going to throw in there, and this doesn't have to do while you're trying to get the transaction, but while you're in it, like Justin said, a phone call instead of a text can be the difference between closing a deal and losing it. What I always recommend is, we've gotten so complacent in the way we handle contracts today that, oh, just e-sign it and away we go. I always offer to Zoom with my clients when I send over the contract via Authentisign or eSign and walk through it with them. And I think that creates a difference in the consumer's experience.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it goes so much further because you took the time to you pick up the phone and make that phone call. They really appreciate that. But then it's an educational, opportunity as well. Just like Jeff said, I'm sending this hey, I just sent the contract over, I just sent this document over, but I wanted to explain it to you so that you understand and know the key points of what's behind this document or whatever it may be, whatever is pertaining to that particular phone call. But that goes a long way than just sending, because I've had this happen to me, sending a text message and saying, hey, I just sent this over to you for you to sign or for you to take a look at, boom, and that's it. As opposed to, if they actually called me and picked up the phone to say, you know, I know you're super busy. I just want to take 2 minutes and just explain this to you really quick. And that's something that I found has worked heavily because we all do have busy schedules. And it's almost playing into them like, hey, I'm going to respect your time, but I wanted to just pick up the phone and give you a call to further explain this, or if you had any questions that I could answer for you really quickly that you can think of for that. So whether you're, trying to prospect and making phone calls that way, pre-transaction, or like Jeff said, you're in the transaction, or even after the transaction, if you need help trying to navigate that, or quote unquote scripts, or just some methods to try to you know ease into the conversation, so you're not, hey, it's Justin, I just wanted to call and see how things are going, and if you know anybody that's looking to buy or sell, right? No, hey, it's Justin, I just wanted to give you a call, and I haven't talked to you in a minute, and see, how's the family doing, right? And then just let them start going in the conversation. Then it's naturally going to wrap around to real estate. It always does. But this is a much more personal. And I saw Jenner put in here that she has already called all her 2023 clients, which is awesome. So if you haven't, definitely you want to pick up that phone, see how they're doing. And here's the thing: when things come up, I know we're talking about building relationships and not always talking about real estate and all that stuff, but there are times where I would encourage you to pick up the phone and call them directly about real estate, especially when things happen. So obviously NAR settlement, all the different changes that are happening, that is a moment where I was encouraging all agents to pick up the phone and call every single person they know, because it's fresh on the plate, right? It's in the news and the headlines. And hey, I'm just calling all my clients because I'm sure have you seen the headlines in the news about compensation and all that. And I just wanted to make sure everyone that I know understands these changes. And the other thing would be rates. Rates are starting to dip down, and as we continue to see that happen, and it continues to go in the right direction, that's another opportunity to pick up the phone and give your people in your sphere, past clients, a phone call, something that's directly related to real estate. But it's an opportunity for you to educate them, get them the correct information, especially for your local market, because all these big news headlines are usually nationwide and all that stuff. So we really want to make sure that they know the information in their specific market there. All right, moving along, events and seminars. One of my favorites for this one. Events and seminars bring people together. It's more in a group setting and allows face-to-face. So going back to advertising, internet leads and all that stuff, it is so difficult, one, for someone to pick up the phone, because we're all consumers. We all get sold stuff all day long. So if we pick up the phone and someone's like, hey, I'm calling you based on this property or whatever it is, it's very difficult to build that relationship. And it's very difficult to get them face to face. So that was one of the things that, as agents, we kind of struggle with, from getting them from an internet lead to in our office to do a buyer consultation, or even Zoom, right? To do a quick Zoom and walk through your buyer consultation or listing appointment. You can even do it that way. But it's very difficult to get face to face with our ideal audience, buyers and sellers and investors today. So doing events and seminars would be a great way to be able to meet them in face to face. These types of settings foster networking, sharing of ideas, collaboration, relationship building, and they offer you the opportunity to engage multiple people at once. So creating an energetic atmosphere conducive to building strong connections. So whether you're hosting or attending these events, they provide an opportunity for meaningful in-person engagement. So a couple of things that I would encourage are, seminar slash webinar types of events that you can do. I know agents that are advertising new first home buyer seminars, or, lending seminars. You're partnering with your lender to put on a seminar. You're inviting everyone you know. You're advertising it on social media, direct mail, whatever it is, right? Using all those other in-personal channels to get them to a personal setting. But some ideas that you could do are like those first home buyer seminars. Maybe listing strategies, 5 things you need to know before you list your home in Phoenix. Join us on this day at this time to talk about those. Of course, homeowners want to attend those. The agents that are doing these, I'm seeing very good turnouts, and they are getting appointments from those turnouts. The other thing is a client appreciation events that you may be doing. Right? That's face to face. You're getting all your past clients together. They're talking about how great of a service, how much they love you. It increases referral rates and opportunities, and really creates a good networking opportunity. One thing that I'd encourage you guys to consider to incorporate at least once into your business and process next year is maybe one of your clients that you close with, instead of a closing gift, typically, maybe you're going to host a closing party for them. So maybe, you close on a deal, and instead of, obviously it needs to make sense for everybody involved. In your client, you're going to ask your client, hey, typically, agents will do a closing gift, but I really want to celebrate your new chapter in this house, and I want to put together some charcuterie boards and maybe some wine or whatever it may be, for your, once you close and you get in there, and you want to celebrate with your friends and family. And even if you're a neighborly person, you want to invite your neighbors. You don't need to be there as the agent. I would encourage it, and your client would probably like you to be there. But here's the thing with these closing parties that I'm seeing a difference in is it's more personal. It's a memory making gift, right? It's super exciting for them because they're going to celebrate one of the most exciting things happening in their life, buying that home. And uh, if you do attend, guess what? They're going to talk about how great of a transaction it was. All their friends and family are there. You're getting to network and meet with them. It's a really cool opportunity, and different. It's rare that these happen because a lot of people think of the funds, the money, all that kind of stuff. But again, think about these things as you're preparing for 2025. And do you set aside some additional funds for it? It doesn't have to be expensive. You can get, we do charcuterie platters and boards from Albertsons, Safeway. Like they're not incredibly expensive gifts, and it's really personalized because you're celebrating again. For somebody. I've had agents do food trucks. You don't have to food trucks, depending on price point. Maybe a food truck makes sense. Where a food truck shows up and you say, hey, you're closing on this. I want you to invite all your family and friends. I'm going to have a food truck show up at this time, whatever's convenient for them. And it's on me. I just want to, celebrate and enjoy this monumental time in your life. So again, think about different ways of where you could be more personalized. It's more of a memory making environment. And you're putting yourself in a position where you're able to network with a lot more people and potentially meet your next client in there. And you're really you're creating referral generating marketers out there for you. Think of your past clients as your marketing team. They're out there talking to lots of people. It's an extension of your network. So you want to be different. You want to be personalized. And these events are one of those ways that you can absolutely do that. Has anybody done a closing party for their client? Has anybody done something like that in the past? Be curious to know. It's very rare, it doesn't happen, but I am starting to see an uptick in these. And I do encourage them because, again, I think it's a very cool gift. It's fun. And again, you can really network this way. Jeff says, love them, co-sponsors with his lender. Beautiful. Paul said shredathon. That's another cool one for neighborhoods. Maybe, you know, if you're farming a neighborhood, which can be very impersonal, how do you make that more personal? Well, maybe you're doing a shredathon. Maybe you're doing, you know, maybe it's something you're doing at the park, burgers and hot dogs. You're doing an appreciation thing or whatever it is, right? Different things that you could do that takes traditional, impersonal marketing and communication and turning it to a much more memory making. I think I'm gonna make a shirt out of that now. Memory making, right? You want to be in memory making opportunities in environments. Makes it a lot more personalized, especially with weather getting better, guys. Getting you know, past clients together, maybe at the park or anything like that. There's agents, of course, that do like Halloween things or mini fall festivals. I have an agent that will buy a bunch of pumpkins for the neighborhood that she lives in and farms. And you know, she goes out and buys, I don't know, 50 pumpkins or something, and first come, first serve, or maybe it's, you know, face painting or just little things like that that could be done at your local park or within that subdivision. All right, the last one is one-on-one meetings. We love this one. It's sometimes difficult to get those face-to-face and one-on-one meetings, but this is going to be your most personal and effective form of communication. Some of these events could be lead, you know, obviously you're getting in front of a lot of people, and maybe out of those environments and events, you're turning some of those, converting those to one-on-one meetings. It's just like the webinars, right? You're getting a bunch of people together, talk about something, and then it's the appointments, those one-on-one meetings afterwards. But it's going to be the most personal, effective form of communication. Meeting face to face allows you to get the highest level of trust building, rapport, and connection. So one-on-one meetings create the deepest level of engagement because of the time, focus, and attention given to that person. And these meetings are powerful for generating referrals, discussing personal and business matters, and establishing long-term professional relationships. So again, if you read the book, he goes through this whole story. And one of the parts is in the beginning is he's meeting with this lender for lunch, and everyone in the restaurant knows her because she's there all the time meeting her clients. And so that's the first thing he notices. And his business is kind of slumped. It's been slower. He's thinking about getting out of the business as the beginning of the story kind of starts. And he starts to realize as it goes through that she's having all these one-on-one meetings with agents that she works with and trying to understand who could she introduce him to that would be beneficial, and vice versa, right? The more people you meet, the more times that you're connecting and networking, the more opportunities that are going to arise from these. And even in that beginning part of the story, you know, she's getting done with her lunch with him, and her next person is already arriving, and the waitress comes over and says, hey, your next appointment's here. I'm gonna go ahead and set him in this booth or wherever it may be. And he starts to realize like, hey, she's out there meeting people all the time. She's having face-to-face meetings. She's finding opportunities. It's not always about me, right? How can I help you connect with somebody or go to the next level or whatever it may be, or offer you a piece of information that could be, you know, monumental or change your business for the better. So again, those face-to-face meetings, they build that trust, they build credibility, and it deepens that relationship because of the time that it takes for those. So an example would be consumers are skeptical, and it's difficult to convey value without being face-to-face. How many times have you been on a phone call with an internet leader or anything like that? It's very difficult for that. So these face-to-face really creates an environment of trust and value. So my tip to you, and what I would encourage, again, as you guys are building out your plan and strategy for 2025, or even to finish this year strong, especially as we're getting into the holidays, schedule a coffee meeting with a prospect, a past client, or referral partner, maybe your lender, right? Even your escrow officer, whoever it may be. Get some one-on-one coffee meetings scheduled. You know, maybe you're calling your lender and saying, hey, I know you're busy, so I'm gonna plan on stopping by your office next week. What's the best day and time? I'm gonna bring us coffee, right? Maybe they can't go out and meet at an actual coffee shop, or it's gonna be a little bit more convenient to be in the office. But call and schedule that one-on-one meeting, right? Ask them, hey, I'm reaching out, just want to touch base and see how the year's been, see how you're closing out this year, and how we maybe can work more and brainstorm and collaborate for 2025. Or maybe it's with your prospect, right? Hey, I know you've been looking for quite a while. I just want to see if you had 30 minutes, 45 minutes to meet. Again, maybe it's Zoom. That's the beauty of living in a digital age, is that could still be face to face. You can still get a good read on them and tone, and that's a face to face environment. So that could happen as well for the prospect, or maybe it's a past client. Right? Go treat them to a cup of coffee. It's pumpkin season, people. Everyone's crazy about the pumpkin spice. So again, I encourage you over the next week to immediately take action, schedule some of these one-on-one meetings, schedule a coffee meeting with a prospect, a past client, or a referral partner, or maybe one of each, and see how you guys can better work together or understand, or maybe they know other people, even if it's a prospect or past client. Do you know anyone that could benefit from my services or the value that I provided you thus far, that I could connect with them? So again, one-on-one meetings, make it a priority, incorporate some of these into your plan for 2025, especially for some of these events. I think would be very, very cool, and you would see the ROI on those. Again, getting in front of a lot of people, creating those environments that are more personalized, and that you can connect with people there. I'm just going to recap. So our 7 levels of communication. Of course, the first 3 are more that impersonal. You have advertising, direct mail, and electronic communication. And then, of course, as we dive deeper, we get into written notes, phone calls, events and seminars. And of course, the most personal is one-on-one meetings. So my question to you is, where's your focus going to be in 2025 in this pyramid, or in these different levels of communication? Where are you going to focus more of your time and energy and funds for your business? Maybe you're already doing some of these, maybe a little bit of all, but where can you double down? Where, if you think back in 2024, 2023, just in your business, where's the majority of your business come from? And where should you focus more of your time? And how can you make it more personalized, right? Again, referral-based business. So we want to make sure that we are delivering a personalized experience, whether it's before the transaction, during the transaction, most definitely after the transaction. What does your communication process look like? What does your communication calendar look like? How often are you going to send handwritten notes? How often are you going to pick up that phone and call your past clients or Sphere? How often are you going to do these events or webinars? And what is your goal? Do you want to have 3 one-on-one meetings a week, 5 one-on-one meetings a week? How many ever you can manage in your schedule? But I want you guys to sit down and think about that and figure out where you're going to incorporate these in your business. And if you already are, how can you do more of some of the more personalized communication? So again, I already talked about the challenge, but I want you to move up the levels. Start by sending a handwritten note or making a phone call to someone you haven't reached out to in a while. You will be amazed. The more of these phone calls, handwritten notes, personalized messaging that you guys are sending out, more of the personalized communication, you guys will be amazed at what happens and how it can transform your business. The more you invest in your relationships, the greater your ROI in this business will be. All right, guys, any feedback you want to add into that? Do we feel like we can find ways to personalize our communication? Maybe it's one of these 7 in there. And do you feel like you can maybe leverage some of these from now until the end of the year to maybe close out stronger? Maybe you're building up that pipeline for 2025, but definitely incorporate some of these more personalized levels for 2025. I appreciate you guys. Jenner, you can definitely do this. I agree. Awesome, guys. I am finalizing the training schedule for October. I just have one that I'm confirming, but we have some amazing things going through. We're going to talk about negotiation next week with our guest speaker. And then I'm going to, towards the end of the month, we're talking about Google business profiles and there's been some changes. So what you need to do to ramp up your Google business profile and optimize it fully for 2025. Jocelyn, who's on the call. I'm going to go ahead and talk about it, but she's going to talk to us and train us on CapCut towards the end of the month of October. We've been talking a lot about reels and video marketing and all that good stuff. So I'm excited to co-train and co-host that one with her and dive deeper into the application CapCut. And then there's one other, but I'll save that for when we release it out there. But it should be a very cool month. A lot of good topics, again, to help finish the year strong in there. And if you guys have any topics that you want us to bring to the table and incorporate into our trainings, please let me know. You can always email me, justin@rocktitle.com, and I'll be happy to get those. Otherwise, happy Thursday, guys. Happy weekend. I hope you guys have an amazing weekend, and hopefully we see all of you in escrow very, very soon. Take care, everyone.